But when you begin to seek God and know His Word, guess what? That fuse gets longer. And you're able to deal with a whole lot of things, and the knowledge begins to come in you. You become successful as a Christian. Now, I could have fired a big old comment to my buddy on there and just lead him up, give him a few little things right there, and I'd have had a few folks say, "Go ahead, preacher." Yeah, buddy. They'd have been on my side. They'd have liked it. You know, they'd have done everything. I'd have had a bunch of people jump on it, but you know, me being successful as a Christian would have just died right there.
Yeah.
Because there'd have been a whole lot of folks that, can you believe that preacher got on there and said that? And you know, I know sometimes when these things comes my way, you know, I feel the jab. And I know. Sometimes I'll tell my wife, I said, that was for me. You didn't pick up on it, honey. That was for me. Okay? And I just laugh and go on. I don't respond. But it's through knowledge of the Word, knowing Him and beginning to get that in my heart, in my soul, in my mind. Knowing His Word. Knowing it. It's making me strong. I'm successful as a Christian then. Well, preacher, you're telling me I can't get on Facebook no more? No. Just don't chew nobody out on there. If you can, okay? Do your best. I'm not like nobody up. Every now and then you'll see them on there, you know. Somebody will, okay, I'm going to rant for just a minute. Not quiet. Quiet. Thirdly, you got to know how to pray. Know how to pray. If you seek Him, you'll be found. If you seek Him, if you pray, if you do that type of thing. You know, and I can't stress to you how important it is that you have a prayer life every single day of your life. You know, I meet so many folks that if you ask them, I said, do you pray? Well, I try my best. Are you really? To be successful, that's a very important part of it. Let me tell you something. To have a successful marriage, okay? To have a successful marriage, you and your wife or you and your husband, means you got to speak to each other at some time, right? That's okay. But you've got to speak to your spouse and you've got to have a relationship back and forth. Otherwise, if you don't, what's going to happen? Somewhere soon, there's one of Williamsburg, Whitley County's finest attorneys going to get some business from you. Okay? You're going to be down there seeing Greta or somebody. You're going to go down and see somebody who's paying them to get you out of this mess because you all cannot live together anymore. Why? Because there was no communication between you two. Now, I know there's circumstances. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is if you find a situation where you're not communicating with your spouse, it's going to draw you apart. Okay? Now, you know, your wife or your husband, they don't know that you love them if you don't tell them. Well, she knows. I told her 30 years ago when we got married. Well, I figured she needs to hear it again. You know, she think back to that. Whatever. You got to communicate with your spouse. You got to communicate with God to have that relationship and to be successful with that. Otherwise, you're going to drift away. Why? What's the Word say here? What's the Word say? If you forsake Him, He will cast thee off forever. You forsake Him? You don't pray, you don't seek, you don't talk to Him? You don't talk to your wife, and I tell you what, she'll forsake you. Forever. You know? Talk to your husband, he'll forsake you. You know? Forever. Cast you off. Make it legal right down there at the courthouse. You know? That relationship begins to just fall apart. But when you pray and seek God's face and you speak to Him on a daily basis, not every other day, not once a week, not twice. Well, hey, some folks pray when they come to church. And I did joke about Willie back there, about him praying. But Willie's a praying man.
Not out loud.
He's just not out loud in public.
That's right.
Moment of silence. Amen. Brother Davey, I'll tell you this. My buddy Willie back here was a funeral director for many years. They were out at the cemetery one day and they didn't have a pastor or a preacher there to set the service. Just the undertakers and grave digger and a few family members. Funeral owner, the director looked over and said, Brother William, would you pray? Being the quick thinker he is, he said, could we have a moment of silence? He got himself through it. That's classic. That'd be in the book.
You're not allowed to do it really short.
But you got to pray every single day of your life, folks. I've told you how to pray. I told you, I said, when you wake up in the middle of the night, pray. Wake up 2 or 3 times a night, pray. That's a great opportunity. Ain't nothing to distract you. The TV ain't on. The kids ain't yelling. Ain't nothing. You know, your husband might be snoring or your wife. You can pray over that. My wife said she could. Pray over my snoring. But that's a wonderful time, and to know Him and to be successful means you got to have a prayer life in existence. Don't just pray when you feel like it.